Hello and welcome to today's class. In this video, we'll be learning organization of life. This class is brought to you by UC Tutorial Home free online lesson. UC Tutorial Home free online lesson offers variety of subjects. Kindly locate your subject of choice, watch, learn, and pass your exams. Also, do well to subscribe to our channel so that whenever a new video is uploaded, you will be the first to be notified. Invite your friends to do the same as well. So let's get to the topic we have for today. Now, our topic says organization of life. How is life organized? Did we just, is life just like that? No, there are structures upon which life is organized. So let's look at that structure. And what is a structure? Basically, we have four structures of life. Four structures on which life is organized. And these include cell, tissue, organ, and system. So these are the structures upon which life is organized. So let's look at them one after the other. Now, what is cell? What is cell? We say that a cell is the smallest unit of life. The smallest unit of life. The smallest unit of life. We refer to it as what? Cell. The smallest unit of life. The smallest structure of life. After the cell, you will not see any other thing again. So we refer to cell as the smallest unit of life. Now we are still going to treat cell in detail in subsequent videos. Okay, so cell, as we have seen the definition, now there are different types of cell. We have what we call the unicellular cell and also the multicellular cell. What is unicellular cell? Unicellular cell is a cell that exists as just one cell. Remember, this cell, you can't see it with the naked eye except with the aid of a microscope. So one cell, just imagine your body is made up of billions of cells. So bring out one cell. There are organisms that exist as that one cell if you bring out of your body. There are organisms that exist as one cell. Those organisms that exist as one cell, we call them one-celled organism or unicellular organism. Then there are organisms that have more than one. We refer to them as what? Multicellular organism. Example of an organism that exists as a unicellular, you have amoeba, you have euglena, you have paramecium, you have chlamydomonas, etc. So these organisms are referred to as what? Unicellular. Hence, they exist as what? They exist at cell level. Other things that exist as cell level, you also have your egg or ova found in the body of a woman. You also have your sperm cells, and so on and so forth. So these are organisms that exist as cell. Then we move over to the next one, tissue. Tissue simply means combination of two or more similar cells performing similar functions. Combination of two or more similar cells performing similar functions. What does it mean? When you combine two or more cells performing similar function, two or more similar cells, please. Two or more similar cells performing similar functions. Two or more similar cells performing what? Similar functions. We get what we call what? Tissue. So what are the organisms that exist at tissue level? We have what we call hydra. Are we following? We have what we call epithelial tissue. All these tissues are found, connective tissue, etc. All these tissues, these epithelial connective tissues, are found in the body of an animal, while Hydra is also an animal. Then let's look at organisms that exist as tissue but are plants. You have xylem, you have phloem. Please, I want to retaliate. These organisms exist as tissue, as in these organisms are animals. They exist as tissues, either in the animal body or they are animal. Like Hydra is an animal, but epithelial connective tissue exists in the body of an animal. Are we following? Then xylem, phloem, these ones, they exist in what? Plants. Are we together? Then number 3, we have what we call organ. Organ is what? Combination of two or more similar tissues performing similar functions. Are we following? Combination of two or more tissues performing similar functions. So what are these organs all about? In this organ, you have two or more tissues that perform similar functions. You bring them together, we refer to them as what? Organ. Example of organ, you have eye, nose, ear, skin, etc. Are we together? Then these are for what? These ones are for animals. So let's go to the ones for plants. Examples of organs in plants are what? Leaf, stem, root. All these ones are what? Plants. Then we look at the last but not the least. The last but not the least is what? What we refer to as system. So system is combination of two or more organs. System is combination of two or more organs performing similar functions. Combination of two or more similar organs performing similar functions. Are we following? Okay. Examples of systems are, you have reproductive system, you have circular, you have circulatory system, you have respiratory system, so many of them. You have excretory system, and so on and so forth. So I want to retaliate. Cell is the smallest unit of life. Then combination of two or more cells will give you a tissue. Combination of two or more tissue performing similar function will give you an organ. Combination of two or more similar organs performing similar function will give you what? A system. Now for system, what is obtainable in plants is also found in animal. In plants we have excretory system. In animals we also have the same. In plants we have reproductive system. In animals we also have the same. So these are what we refer to as what? The structure or organization of life. Are we together? Okay. Now, even though organisms like unicellular organisms, remember what we say are unicellular organisms? Organisms that have what? One cell. Even though unicellular organisms, they are able to perform all life activities like eating, excretion, reproduction, respiring, and the rest of them, they are still at disadvantage because they still lack some vital organs that can help them to survive life. That will help them to be efficient in their survival. Hence, when you look at organisms that have more than one cell, say man, like human being, we have billions of cells. You will discover that we perform more efficient than when you bring an organism that just have one cell out of man. Are we together? You discover that we perform more efficiently than organisms that just have one cell or organisms that are just unicellular. So what are the advantages that enables these organisms that are multicellular like man to perform? That ability to have so many cells that enables us to perform efficiently is what we refer to as complexity. Are we together? The ability to have many cells that enables you to perform more efficiently than one cell, than a unicellular organism, is what we refer to as complexity of organisms. So this complexity is actually found in higher organisms. So higher organisms like man, higher organisms like plants, big plants like mango tree, plantain. So when you look at mango tree, you discover that a mango tree is made up of billions of cells. A mango tree has a cell, it has a tissue, it has an organ, and it has system. But euglena only has a cell. So will you expect euglena to perform like a mango tree that has the four structures of life? No. So both of them will not have the same type of results. Are we together? Do you expect amoeba to perform like man that is made up of cell, tissue, organ, and system? No. So that's a phenomenon is what we refer to as what? Complexity. So let's look at the advantages of this complexity in higher animals. So number one is it leads to cell differentiation. Now imagine man, as man is, man has billions of cells. So you find out that there is a cell differentiation between the cells responsible for this versus the cell responsible for that. So there is a cell differentiation. Secondly, it leads to internal structural specialization. So you find out that there are cells responsible for excretion. They focus on excretion. These ones are responsible for digestion. They focus on digestion. These ones are responsible for reproduction. They focus on reproduction. So you discover that all these cells, there is specialization. There is already division of labor. Now they are specialized. For example, the teeth. The teeth is specialized for what? Mastication, for biting. Are we together? The tongue is specialized for rolling the food into bolus. The stomach is specialized for what? Churning the food, breaking the food. Now, when you talk about reproduction, vagina and the penis are responsible. They are specialized for what? For reproduction. So you discover that there is a specialization. There is who to do this and who to do that, and they are specialized in doing that thing. Next, it leads to efficiency. Now, when there is specialization, there is efficiency. You will not do, one cell will not do all the whole thing and then become tired. No. There is a cell responsible for this. There is a cell responsible for that. So at the end of the day, you find out that all the cells are working properly, leading to what? Efficiency. It leads to increase in size. It leads to increase in size. Can you see an amoeba with your naked eye? No. You can only see an amoeba with what? A microscope. Why? Because it is too tiny. Only one cell is performing all those things. But animals that have more than one cell, animals that are multicellular, they have cell, tissue, organ, and system. Hence, they grow bigger in size. Something that have all these four things, will it still be small like this? No. It will grow. It will be big and visible to the eye, because it needs space for all these four things to be inhabited in the body. Next, it leads to adaptation to environment. Complexity leads to adaptation to environment. Why? Adaptation simply means ability to do what? To live with one's environment. You discover that organisms that are complex, that is, organisms that have these four structures of organism, these four structures of organization of life, they can easily adapt to any environment they find themselves. Unlike amoeba, if amoeba finds himself outside the environment it's supposed to be, what happens to it? It will die. It doesn't have the ability to adapt. But take for example man. If man found himself, maybe man is living in the riverine area, for one reason or the other, finds himself in the desert, is he going to die immediately? No. He's going to adapt. It's going to find means to adapt. The body is going to quickly do what? Adjust to the environment. So let's look at the disadvantages. Number one, there is lower rate of diffusion because the body is large. If you find one cell, once there is diffusion, it will go through quickly. But for animals or organisms that are big like man, will it go through quickly? No, it's going to take time. Number two, inability of cells to exist on their own. Of course, multicellular organisms, cells cannot exist on their own. They must exist in groups, and they must exist based on their area of specialization. So you say that these cells are responsible for reproduction, these ones are responsible for excretion. They can't just exist on their own because the organisms they are working with are what? Multicellular. Next, difficulties in reproduction. Because they are large, reproduction, they have some difficulty. Reproduction is not as quick as it is in unicellular organisms. For example, something like amoeba, they reproduce asexually and they reproduce very fast. But it's not so with what? Organisms that are complex, like man or plants. Because there is cell, they will pass through tissue, organ, and what? System before reproduction can do what? Take place. Difficulties in acquisition of oxygen and food materials. There is difficulty in acquisition of what? Acquisition of oxygen. They don't get oxygen as easy and as fast as unicellular because those ones are small. Here, before the oxygen gets to the toe, it has to pass through the processes before it gets to the toe. But in smaller organism, unicellular organism, as soon as they are getting it, it is passing through the whole cell because it is too tiny. Next, slower rate of waste product expulsion. Unlike unicellular organisms, once they eat their food, they do what? The waste product are removed immediately. They are expunged from their system. It's not so with bigger plants like. It's not so with bigger organisms like plants, bigger plants like mango tree, man. No. Why? Because men, they're too big. For waste products, for excretion to take place, it must go through the whole channels before excretion will do what? Finally occur. So these are the advantages and the disadvantages of complexity of organisms in higher organisms. All right, so please kindly put them down in your notes, read, learn, and pass your exams. Okay, so we have finally come to the end of today's class. Please do well to subscribe to this channel and also invite your friends to do the same so that you always be notified when there is a new video. Okay, so quickly move. The next topic is on classification of living things. So quickly move to the next video now and watch, learn, and pass your exams. All right, thank you and bye.